Super Rugby round number 5, folks. What continues to be, I think, a pretty entertaining year of Super Rugby goes on. Crusaders are the only team to not have a win, with the Western Force picking up their first win in the final game. But we will go through the 6 games from the weekend. You guys can let us know your thoughts, look at the table, some upcoming fixtures, and where you think the teams are at. The one undefeated team is the Hurricanes, who put the Rebels to the sword 54-28. Despite making a bunch of changes, they still looked way too good for the Rebels. At one point, we're leading 33-0, which is rather a lot, isn't it? Tries to Rayasu, got a double. Geordie Barrett, who got a double. Shields got one on his return. Godfrey got one, who looked pretty good, actually, at fullback for the Canes, having been one of the guys to get his first game of the season. He had like 4 clean breaks in 88 metres, which is not bad. Karifi, who also had a bunch of run meters as well and looking very good this season. And Perenara, who closes in on that try-scoring record, which Julian Savia just grabbed for his own. So 54 points. In Palmerston North as well. Had a pretty good crowd, and I think indicates, as the rain just starts to come down here, that maybe the Super Rugby teams, at least in NZ, should take at least a game or 2 each season out of the kind of major centres for the Rebels. Tries through Smith, Ripley, the other Gordon, is it Mason, and Uelese as well. So 4 tries in reply. But yeah, 33-0 down, 33-7 at half-time. It was always going to be a bit of an uphill one for them. Ukuasi had 17 from 17 tackles, but, I mean, clean breaks was 16-4. So, yeah, pretty lopsided one for game number 1. And game number 2, which had me a little bit worried. Brumbies take on Moana Pacifica from Canberra, and 60 points to 21. It's a very similar game to that Hurricanes Rebels one. The Brumbies are maybe starting to find a bit of form after looking a little bit rusty the first couple of games. You know, they won away in Dunedin last week, and they have now put the Moana Pacifica boys to the sword. Crichton got a couple, Valentini got one, Tua got one, Wright got 2 and set one up, Kale got one, and Toole got one. Even Lockie Lonergan at the end gets one from the bench. It's a lot of tries to get in 60 points. I mean, Tamu Folau got one from Moana Pacifica. Bit of power from him instead of speed, unlike last week. Lotu Inisi got one and Patafilo got one, but yeah, not a lot went right for the Moana Pacifica boys. Their line-out was at 71%. The Brumbies were at 92%. The Brumbies had a whole heap of first half possession and territory. They threw some really slick offloads. Like, it wasn't a mauling game from the Brumbies, although they do have that in their game. I mean, Corey Toole got 6 defenders beaten. Wright had 130 metres, so yeah, the backs put on a bit of a show. Good play from the Brumbies. So fingers crossed for them. They are the team that we thought they were going to be prior to the start of the season, because it was looking a little bit doubtful initially. The game 3 is maybe the best of the lot. The DRUwWAR up against the Waratahs from Fiji. Goes to Golden Point. Part of me kind of wishes they still had draws, because I feel like the Tars kind of earned a draw. There's nothing really wrong with draws unless it's the finals. But 39-36, it goes to Golden Point. It's a drop goal to Kemu Valentini that wins the game into that Golden Point time on the 88th minute. But man, the DRUwWAR will be a little bit disappointed that they had such a massive lead and kind of allowed the Tars to come back at them. It was 26-10 at one point, so they were pretty convincingly in front. But yeah, great sunny day. Great crowd, a bunch of tries. Yofasefo Masi, goodness me, three tries in the first half. I was going to say a first half hat-trick, but that's not how that goes. First half hat-trick. So, yeah, good stuff from him. Lomani got one, Ikanaveri got one as well. Vailanu got a couple, Gamble got one, Walton got one, and Swinton got one for the Tars. Fergus Lee Warner made a bunch of tackles, but yeah, Draw Sissy at the back. Looked really sharp. Mussy busted like 5 tackles on his way to a win. Yellow cards, I think 2 for the DRUwWAR boys, 1 for the New South Wales guys. So, yeah, pure entertainment factor in the crowd there. I think it was Latoko, wasn't it? Go home pretty happy. 39-36. Chiefs Highlanders was another one, a bit of a comeback. Like, after seeing the 2 Friday games, which were the big blowouts, watching Chiefs Highlanders after the DRUwWAR New South Wales game, I was thinking, is this just going to be a week for blowouts? Because the Chiefs were up by 28-0. And the Highlanders had a red card. So it just looked like they were going to get they were going to get a hiding. Rona got a try, Slater got one, Pohi Pipi got one, and then Ratsima got one during the red card. But somehow, the Highlanders mounted a bit of a fight back. Tavanawe got one, Ratsuma Tavuki Nipkins got one, and then Broughton got a bit of a fluky one, but got a fluky one like 2 minutes from the death. Talia is the guy who got red carded for the Highlanders for a high tackle, which was, put on report and came back red, which the commentary team kind of called. But yeah, it looked like the 21-0, then add a red card. It looked like the Chiefs were going to run away with that one, but they did not. The Highlanders' tackle percentage, though, goodness me, is 74%, which is awful. Like the Chiefs were 84, which is not the best you'll see this week, but it was certainly a lot better than the Landers. But the Landers had a lot of ball. So, yeah. Chiefs, maybe they're reverting a little bit to the way the Brumbies were looking, and they still look good, but they're not looking maybe untouchable as they were kind of initially on. Blues Crusaders, Blues 26-6, first win over the Crusaders at Eden Park, and I think they said like 10 years. And the Crusaders go 0-5, which I don't think anybody saw coming, despite the coaching change, despite the change in playing personnel, despite the injuries. Nobody saw 0-5. They are bottom of the log, the Crusaders. They didn't score a try against the Blues. They were playing in their vintage kits, which was really slick. The Blues and Crusaders teams both had their vintage kits on. Really, really nice to see. 2 tries, is it? Wet. It's raining now, but it was wet at Eden Park. It was wet in Hamilton as well. But Tuangafasi and Lamb get tries for the Blues. They really should have had a bonus point. How they didn't get a bonus point, you got to give a bit of credit to the Crusaders' goal line defense. They had yellow cards. Their line-out was shocking, but they could tackle on their own goal line. Run meters was 665 to 196. Clean breaks 11-2. Defenders beaten 44-8. And yet, just the 2 tries to none. Blues 20 turnovers conceded is also very high, but it was quite wet. The Crusaders line-out 8 from 17 is amongst the worst I have ever seen, despite the rain. The Blues was 14 from 15 in the same conditions, so something is not right with the Crusaders. Zahn Sullivan got an injury, which was unfortunate, but Forbes came on and looked really sharp for the Blues. Clark got a bunch of run meters. Pedro Feta beat a bunch of defenders. Christie made a bunch of tackles for the Crusaders, but I feel like the Blues needed to speed up their play at times because I felt like Christie was taking too long to think about each thing, which allowed the Crusaders' goal line defense to sit. But anyway, I can't complain as my Blues got a win over the Crusaders. And yeah, the missing bonus point would have been just been the icing on the cake, but there you go. And the last one, the Force against the Reds. Who picked that one? Not me. The Force leave the Crusaders behind now in that kind of winless column. Now it's just the Crusaders there on their lonesome. 40 points to 31. There were times when I thought the Force were going to throw this away because it would seem like the Reds were going to mount a comeback. But no, they managed to kind of keep scoring. One of their tries was, I don't want to say fluky as well, but a bit fortuitous when Wilson dropped the ball from a restart and Kunzel just punished on it, but right after the Reds had scored as well. So, yeah, Kunzel got a couple. Franklin got one. Tia got one. White got one. And Tizano got one, along with his 17 tackles. Was not a bad effort. McDermott got a couple. He beat 5 defenders. Fassler got one. McCrike got one. And Campbell got one. But, yeah, a few too many drop balls for the Reds. And just the Force came out firing. They scored on the 15th minute, 23rd minute before the... I think they scored their 3rd try as well before the Reds had even got on the board. So, yeah, good lead. Managed to hang on for it. So the crowd were rewarded with something for all their kind of suffering the last few rounds as Force fans. I mean, turnovers conceded was 9 by the Force, 17 by the Reds. So the Reds will not be happy with that. But, man, I'm pretty chuffed for the Force. Good to see them get a wee win. Next round's fixtures. See the Crusaders taking on the Chiefs. That looks tough for the Crusaders. They're going to get a win at some point, but my goodness, that looks tough. Waratahs Rebels, that could be a good game because I feel like the Waratahs, despite their record, have actually been better value than their record would suggest. Drew against the Force in Fiji, so the Drew will be favourites for that one. Moana Pacifica Blues, it's at Eden Park despite being a Moana Pacifica home game. Highlanders Hurricanes is in Dunedin, which could make it a bit spicier. And then Reds up against the Brumbies. It's probably the two top Aussie teams. Well, they are as we look at the log, because the Hurricanes are in first, 5-0 on 22 points, 4 points ahead of the Chiefs. Then the Brumbies and the Blues, who all have that kind of 4-1 record. Then the Reds are in the 5th spot. They are the only team with 3-2. Then the teams with the negative records, Highlanders, Rebels, Drua, and Moana Pacifica. Moana Pacifica are just out of the playoff spot at the minute, but there's not much between it. They and the Drua are both on 9 points, and then the teams ahead of them 10 and 11, so not much of a gap. Then the Waratahs on 7, the Force on 5, and the Crusaders, after 5 games played, just the 2 points to show from it. So, yes, it's been a bit of a season on its head. How far can the Hurricanes go? When will the Hurricanes pick up their first win? They could quite easily go none from 6. Because they have the Chiefs next. And that's a tough game to play. It is in Crusaders country, if there's one bright spark there. And yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts. I'm going to go blow my nose because I have a bit of a cold. But yeah, talk to you guys again soon. See ya.